Come a little closer, my dear. Tonight we will step outside the house, but not very far. We will not walk down the road, and we will not go toward the lake. We will stay close, just beyond the door, where the small garden rests quietly beside the house. The door opens gently. The night air meets us softly. It is not cold. It is not warm. It is simply still. Just outside the door, the garden lies in the darkness. During the day, this place is easy to see. The soil shows its color. The leaves hold light. The small flowers lift their faces toward the sun. But at night, the garden becomes something different. It does not disappear. It becomes quiet. The shapes of the plants are softer now. The colors are hidden. The small flowers are no longer bright. They rest in the darkness, holding their place without needing to be seen clearly. Grandma steps slowly onto the ground. The soil does not make a loud sound beneath her feet. It accepts her gently. The garden has known these steps many times before. It does not react. It simply remains. The small lamp from inside the house reaches only a little into the garden. Its light fades before it touches most of the flowers. The rest of the garden is held by the night, and that is enough. Grandma does not bring a brighter light. She does not try to see everything. She lets the garden remain as it is. There is something different about flowers at night. They do not reach upward in the same way. They do not follow the sun. They do not open themselves to be seen. They rest. Each small flower remains close to its stem, close to its leaves, close to the soil that holds it. Their shapes are simple now, their presence quiet. You can still feel them there, not by seeing, but by knowing. The garden carries a soft scent. It is not strong. It does not fill the air quickly. It moves slowly, almost unnoticed, the kind of scent that appears only when you stop trying to find it. Grandma kneels gently beside the flowers. Her hands do not reach out right away. She does not touch them at first. She simply stays close. The ground holds the warmth of the day just a little, not much. Just enough to feel that the sun was here before the night arrived. The flowers remain still. The leaves do not move. The air does not push them. The garden feels as though it is breathing in a quiet way, not with sound, not with movement, but with a calm that rests over everything. Grandma looks at the small flowers. She does not need to know their names. She has known them for many days. She has watered them. She has watched them grow. She has seen them in the morning light and in the quiet afternoon. But tonight she sees them differently, not as something growing, not as something changing, but as something resting. The small petals are closed slightly now, not tightly, not hidden, just gently folded, as if they are holding the last light of the day within themselves. Grandma's hand moves slowly. She touches the edge of a leaf. The touch is light. The leaf does not move much. It remains steady, as if it trusts the quiet of the night. The soil beneath her hand feels soft, not loose, not dry, just settled. The garden has finished its work for the day. There is nothing more it needs to do. The flowers do not hurry to grow. The leaves do not reach for light. Everything remains. The night holds the garden the way the house holds its rooms, gently, without asking anything to change. Grandma remains kneeling beside the flowers. Her breathing is slow. Inhale, exhale. The air outside feels wider than the air inside the house, but it is just as calm. The quiet spreads across the ground, across the leaves, across the small shapes of the flowers. There are no sudden sounds, no wind moving through the branches, No footsteps passing nearby, only the stillness. And within that stillness, the presence of the small flowers remains steady. In the next part of our story, we will stay here in the garden. We will not leave the flowers. We will not return inside. But we will notice how the quiet of the night settles more deeply into the soil, into the leaves, and into the space around us. For now, the small flowers remain where they are, close to the ground, close to the night, resting quietly in the garden beside the house. The small flowers remain in the garden. They have not moved. They have not changed their shape. They continue to rest close to the soil, just as they were before. Grandma remains kneeling beside them. Her hands rest lightly above the ground now, no longer reaching, no longer adjusting. The need to touch has softened. It is enough to stay close. The night has deepened just a little, not in a way that can be measured, not in a way that suddenly changes the sky, but in the quiet way that happens when time continues without being noticed. The air feels slightly cooler now, not cold, just calmer. The warmth that remained in the soil from the day has begun to settle further down, leaving the surface soft and still. The scent of the garden is still there. It has not grown stronger. It has not disappeared. It lingers quietly, the kind of scent that belongs to leaves, to soil, to small petals that no longer open themselves to the light. Grandma breathes slowly. Inhale, exhale. The breath feels different outside. It is wider. It does not stay close to the body. It moves into the night and returns again, blending with the quiet air that rests across the garden. The flowers remain still. Their petals are slightly closed, holding themselves gently together. They are no longer reaching outward. They are no longer following anything. They are simply resting. The leaves around them are calm. No wind moves through them. No sound travels across them. Each leaf remains exactly where it is, held by the stillness of the night. Grandma looks at the flowers without focusing on any single one. There are many of them, small, close to the ground, each one separate, and yet together they form something that feels whole. During the day, it is easy to notice differences. This flower is taller. That one is brighter. This one has opened more. That one has just begun. But at night, those differences fade. The flowers are no longer compared. They are simply present. The garden does not measure them. The night does not choose between them. Everything is allowed to remain as it is. Grandma's hand moves again, slowly. She does not pick a flower. She does not change anything. Her fingers lightly brush the air just above the petals, close enough to feel their presence, but not close enough to disturb them. The flowers do not react. They do not pull away. They do not shift. They remain steady. The soil beneath them feels settled. It does not move under her hand. It does not crumble. It holds everything quietly. The roots beneath the surface remain unseen, but they are there holding each flower in place, connecting them to the ground in a way that does not need to be shown. The garden breathes in its own quiet way, not like the lake, not with a rhythm that rises and falls, but with a stillness that continues. The stillness deepens. The space between moments grows wider. The need to move fades further. Grandma's shoulders lower a little more. The small effort of holding the body upright fades gently. The ground beneath her feels steady enough that nothing needs to be adjusted. The night remains. The flowers remain. The air remains. And the quiet continues to settle. The garden feels softer now, not because anything has changed shape, not because anything has moved, but because the mind no longer holds on to details. The edges of the flowers blur slightly in the darkness. The lines of the leaves are less clear. The soil is no longer something to examine. Everything becomes part of one quiet space. Grandma's breathing slows again. Inhale, exhale. The breath does not feel separate from the air anymore. It feels like part of the garden. The air moves in. The air moves out. Nothing interrupts. Nothing rushes. The flowers remain. Their small shapes rest close to the ground, held by the soil, held by the night, held by something that does not need to move. The scent in the air becomes softer. It does not disappear. It spreads gently, becoming part of the stillness instead of standing out. Grandma no longer looks for the flowers. She no longer counts them. She no longer notices where one ends and another begins. The garden has become one quiet presence. The differences have faded. The separate shapes have softened. Everything remains together. The ground, the leaves, the petals, the air, the night, all of it resting in the same calm. There is no need to think about growth now. No need to think about mourning. The flowers do not reach for the sun. The soil does not ask for water. The garden does not ask for care. Everything that needed to be done has already been done. Now everything simply rests. Grandma remains still. Her hands rest lightly. Her breathing continues. The night deepens just a little more, and the garden, with its small flowers, settles into a quiet that does not need to be changed, does not need to be held, does not need to become anything else at all. The small flowers remain in the garden. They have not opened. They have not turned toward the light. They continue to rest close to the ground, held gently by the soil beneath them. Grandma remains where she is. She is still kneeling beside the flowers, but now it no longer feels like she is beside them. It feels as though she is within the garden. The difference is small at first. The position of the body has not changed. The hands are still near the ground. The air still moves quietly around her, and yet the feeling is different. The flowers are no longer something in front of her. They are something she is surrounded by. The night has deepened again, not in a way that makes the sky darker, not in a way that changes the shapes of things, but in a way that softens the distance between everything. The soil beneath her hands feels steady. It does not shift. It does not loosen. It simply holds. If you press your fingers into the ground just slightly, you can feel the firmness beneath the surface, the quiet strength that supports the roots below. Grandma does not press. She does not need to. It is enough to feel that the ground is there. The flowers remain still. Their petals are gently folded, not closed tightly, not hidden, but resting. The leaves around them no longer feel like separate pieces. They form a quiet layer over the soil, a soft surface that belongs to the garden as a whole. The air has grown very calm now. There is no movement across the plants, no wind touching the leaves, no sound passing through. The stillness is complete. Grandma's breathing continues. Inhale, exhale. The breath feels slower than before, not because she is trying to slow it, but because there is nothing in the garden that moves quickly. The body begins to follow what is around it. The soil does not rush. The flowers do not hurry. The night does not change suddenly, and so the breath does not need to move quickly either. The inhale arrives softly. The exhale leaves gently. At some point, it becomes difficult to tell where the breath begins. Does it begin in the chest, or does it begin in the air around her? The difference is no longer clear. The garden remains, the air remains, the breath remains, and all of them feel connected in a quiet way that does not need to be understood. The scent of the flowers is still present, but it is no longer something that stands out. It has blended into the air. It has become part of the stillness. If you try to find it, it is not there. If you stop trying, it appears gently. Grandma no longer looks at individual flowers. She does not notice which one is closer. She does not notice which one is taller. The shapes have softened too much. The edges have faded. The garden is no longer made of separate parts. It is one quiet presence. The soil, the leaves, the petals, the air, all of them resting together. The hand that once reached toward the flowers now rests more fully against the ground. The fingers are still. The palm feels the coolness of the soil, not sharply, not suddenly, just as a steady presence. The ground holds her gently, the same way it holds the flowers. There is no difference in how it supports them. The garden does not separate. It does not choose. It simply holds everything that is within it. The night continues. The garden continues. Nothing has moved. Nothing has changed. And yet everything feels softer. The sense of being outside has faded. The sense of being inside the garden has deepened. Grandma's breathing is slow now. Inhale, exhale. So quiet that it does not feel like a movement. It feels like something that is already there. The flowers no longer feel like something that needs to be seen. They feel like something that is already known. The soil no longer feels like something beneath. It feels like something that is holding everything together. The air no longer feels like something around. It feels like something that everything shares. The garden has become still, not empty, not silent in a sharp way, but full of calm, full of quiet, full of something that does not need to move. The difference between the body and the ground softens. The difference between the air and the breath softens. The difference between the flowers and the space around them softens. Everything remains, and in that remaining, everything feels the same. Grandma does not move. She does not speak. There is nothing to adjust, nothing to change, nothing to finish. The day has already passed. The garden has already settled. The night does not ask for anything more. In the final part, we will remain here once more. The flowers will not move. The soil will not change. But the feeling of being within the garden will grow even softer until there is no need to separate anything at all. For now, the garden remains quiet, still, and gently holding everything within it. The garden remains. It has not changed. The small flowers are still there, resting close to the ground, held by the quiet of the night. The soil beneath them remains steady. The air above them remains still, and Grandma remains where she is. But now it no longer feels like she is kneeling beside the garden. It no longer feels like she is within it either. The difference between being beside, being within, and simply being has softened until it is no longer something that needs to be noticed. The night has settled fully now, not in a way that deepens suddenly, not in a way that makes the sky darker, but in a way that removes the need to look for change. Everything that needed to change has already changed. Everything that needed to move has already come to rest. The flowers do not open. They do not close further. They remain exactly as they are. The leaves do not shift. The stems do not bend. The soil does not loosen. Everything is held in place by something quiet and steady. Grandma's hands rest gently against the ground. The fingers are no longer aware of their position. The palm no longer feels separate from the soil. The coolness of the earth is there, but it does not stand out. It is simply part of the stillness. Her breathing continues. Inhale, exhale. But now it no longer feels like something moving through the body. It feels like something that is already everywhere. The breath does not begin. The breath does not end. It simply remains. The garden feels the same. The air does not move. The flowers do not move. And yet something continues. A quiet presence. A stillness that does not stop. The scent of the flowers has faded into the air completely now. It is no longer something that appears and disappears. It is simply part of what is here. If you try to find it, it is not there. If you stop trying, it is already around you. The night does not press down. It does not close in. It remains open. The space above the garden feels wide, even though it cannot be seen clearly. The sky is there. The darkness is there. But they do not need to be looked at. They simply remain. Grandma does not move. There is no need to adjust her position. There is no need to stand. There is no need to return inside. The house behind her remains quiet, but it no longer feels separate from the garden. The door, the wall, the window, all of it has softened into the same calm. There is no clear line between inside and outside. There is no clear line between the ground and the body. There is no clear line between the flowers and the space around them. Everything has become part of the same quiet. The garden is still. The night is still. The body is still. And in that stillness there is no need to name anything. The flowers are there, but they are no longer something to look at. The soil is there, but it is no longer something beneath. The air is there, but it is no longer something around. Everything remains without needing to be separate. Grandma's breathing continues, so soft now that it no longer feels like a rhythm. It feels like a presence, the same presence that rests in the soil, the same presence that holds the flowers, the same presence that fills the night. Nothing begins. Nothing ends. Nothing changes. The garden does not ask to be remembered. It does not ask to be described. It simply remains. The small flowers stay where they are, close to the ground, close to the quiet, held gently by the night that surrounds them without pressing, without moving, without needing to become anything more. And in that quiet, everything continues, not forward, not backward, just softly, steadily, without interruption.